dependent on a book that is doing absolutely nothing. Without that book, people have done so much. Without that book, people are successful, people are rich, people are doing amazing things without that book. So it's not as if we can sit there and prove that because of the book, the world is a better place. Because of the book, you as a Christian are doing well, you have a good life, you have everything you want. We can't prove that it's because of the book or because of the religion that that's possible. It's because your own work, your own doing, the time and effort you put into yourself, and you stop bullshitting. You did what you're supposed to do, and you got to where you are. Yeah, there's some Christians that are doing good, and they want to attribute all their hard work and efforts and hard work of other people who helped them along the way. They want to attribute that to a book or to God. Not give the people or themselves the credit, but give it to a book. And I think that's crazy when you take that energy away from, where it should be placed and put it in just a damn book. When countless other people have, they're struggling and they're trying to deal with the book and they're going through hard times and the book is not helping them. What about those people? So, the respect part is, for a lot of us conscious people, when we look at it, it's a joke. It's a joke. We look at these people like, you guys are literally clowns sitting in church acting like something that you're not. And we don't have to respect it. We don't have to, but I think people should. I mean, I myself, I'm tolerant of it because I've been there and understand what a lot of you guys are going through because I was there. And was nobody there for me to give me these answers or to answer these questions or to tell me anything. I had to put it together. And that's something you just got to do. Like, you got to do that in here. You got to really put it together, and it's like you did the research in here personally, and you get it. Forget what somebody telling you, forget what I'm telling you, you did it, and and that's really the only way. I can only point you in the directions, I can give you all the information, but until you really go back and research it, or, if it make enough sense to you, the way I put it, for you to accept it, until that happens, you're still going to be bound by the book. You're still going to have questions, and that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want people going through all this, and then it's like, this information sounds good, but I still have doubts. The more you dig, the more research you do, the more you look into the situation, the doubts will go away, and it's just going to be knowing. That's all that's going to be left. You're going to know, and then you're going to be free. All right, so next question. It says, who gave us the Bible if God did not? What man so long ago could come up with such a story? God created you and wakes us up every morning. I don't understand how something so good for us can be bad. And it's funny how people ask the same questions or how people have the same type of thought process when it comes to the Bible. It's a question that I always get. It's one of those things that's based upon your teaching and what you have been brought up, to know. A lot of people can't fathom creation outside of the Bible because a lot of people haven't been taught that. A lot of people have no clue about atoms and electrons or energy or anything like that. They just think that we just was created from the dust of the ground and woman came from a man's rib, because the book said it. And you had a system perpetuate that for thousands of years. And that's it. It's just what has been known and what people believe, and a lot of people don't dig into science or don't even want to know, what could possibly be different from the book. Now, the good part about that question is, who gave us the Bible? And, if you want to research that, something I talk about as well, is all you got to do is just trace back the history of the Bible. There's some shit you can Google. Go back to the history of the Bible, and I talk about all the Bibles that came before the King James Version, because you're a Christian now, you're going off the King James Version. You wasn't taught off any of the older books. So you got to remember that. You're taught off a different version, and you got to understand how that version even came to be, and the books that was comprised to give us that version, and the whole story behind that as well. So, when you trace that back, again, you'll come to the Septuagint. And the Septuagint, given to us by the Greeks, is basically where the start of the Bible comes from. It's where it's proven to come from. Now, you can go by the Bible itself and with the whole Moses story and the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and all Leviticus and all those stories and say, well, I'm just going to go by the Bible. And in that case, it's no point in even asking the question where it came from if you're going to just accept what the book is telling you when the book itself is in question. But historically, what we can prove, the Greeks gave it to us. The Greeks gave us the book. So, people talk about the Ethiopian Bible, as I said before, the whole Abba-Garama Bible. Abba-Garama was a Byzantine royal who came into the monastery in Ethiopia and basically, supposedly wrote the book in one day. You got to remember, the book he used, the manuscript he used to write that book out or do the translation into Ge'ez, which is the language of the Ethiopians, was a Greek manuscript. So he used a Greek manuscript to give you the Ethiopian Bible, to give us the Abba-Garama Bible in the first place. So that's another thing you got to understand. And as far as we know and can prove, there's no book proven that predates the Septuagint. It's nothing. It's only what's been written and what has been said to have existed, but we never had it. There's no proof of it. And when you understand the history that goes along with all that, you'll see how it fits and how it's suspect that it does with the Greeks. And it just so happens that the book was comprised and put together by these Hebrews in Egypt. So, it's something you got to think about. It's not one of those things where it's going to take you a long time to figure this stuff out. As soon as you start really digging into the history and start looking back at the history of, where this book traces back to, you'll see it there. You'll see the many different books, the codices, all the different codexes. It's so many different things. You got to ask yourself, that question: why so many books? What's up with that? Why so many different books? Why so many different interpretations? How come the codices are so different? How come they were all written in Greek? Where's the Hebrew manuscripts? How come we have the Masoretic text? How come they separated? What is that? How come we don't have a Hebrew manuscript that predates the Septuagint Greek? Everybody was reading the Bible in Greek. And then Latin when it was switched over. But you got to remember, it had to be translated from a Greek first, because there wasn't a Latin manuscript before the Greek ones. A lot of other questions you got to really ask before you really dig into this book. Now, as far as the stories and how could people come up with these stories so long ago, that again, a lot of people think old means obsolete or old means primitive. When, again, you got to remember so many amazing civilizations that predate modern times. All the wonders of the world that predate modern times, that predate the technology that we know. The Egyptian civilization, a lot of other civilizations that supposedly had advanced technology that we can't replicate today. We can't replicate those pyramids. So when we say old or so long ago, we got to remember we're talking about a more spiritual, more sophisticated, more advanced people than us. So understand, they knew about atoms. They knew about science and everything like that long before we did. And, we used it in a spiritual sense. It wasn't for material use such as it is today. So we got to keep that in mind and understand that they wasn't primitive back then. It wasn't old. These people knew so much. And mostly, almost everything that we have today, that we know about today, was basically stolen from there. Was already being used back then in some capacity that we reworked, because you have a materialistic mind at work that's been shaping, the centuries. It's been about materialism. Everything has been going back to materialism and not spirituality. Now, as far as, God waking us up in the morning and everything, metaphor for the sun. You hear it all the time. Oh, God wakes you up. Now, the sun wakes you up. I talked about this before as well. So when you have sun, hit your eyelids, the first instance of sun begins the awakening process. So you have that light that basically hits your eyelid and travels through your cornea, your retina, what have you, to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain that basically, hits your pineal gland and allows for melatonin to begin to detract from your bloodstream. So the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is activated by the sun, is basically regulating the amount of melatonin that releases in your bloodstream that makes you, sleepy or awake. So basically, at night, there's a certain amount of melatonin that is released in the bloodstream because the sun is going down, and the sun going down begins that process. So you get sleepy at night. Waking up is the reverse process, Once the sun hits, it's starting to detract the amount of melatonin released in the blood, and you begin to awake. So when they say God wakes you up, that's the metaphor it's talking about, the sun. And you've seen so many different metaphors and people giving you information about the Son being God. That's what it's talking about on an esoteric level. And as you go through my videos, you'll basically understand that part and what that's really about. This probably was too much information, but that's basically what it means. God is not waking you up. God is not putting you to sleep. God is not putting the souls in mankind or what have you. It's crazy when you think about it. And it's one of the things you're going to have to learn to do as a Christian is think outside the box and think critically. Be real critical about your thinking and stop using the excuse that God is mysterious or we're not supposed to question dumb shit that God do, or, it's just out of our, realm of understanding. It's common sense, plain and simple. So, as I always say, if God was waking us up and putting the souls in mankind, and why waste the time? Why take the time to put the soul into a woman and have her lose her baby before it's even born? That doesn't make sense, And we got to stop thinking like that. We got to start thinking a lot more critically and logically when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And once you start doing that, then you'll see, a lot of stuff will make more sense, and the whole aspect of the Bible is, it'll start to fade away. Also, as far as the Bible being a good book, if you read the book, it's definitely not. So much murder in that book. There's rape in that book, child molestation in that book, infanticide, babies being killed. It's crazy. It's not a good book. It's not a book you can read and just say this is all good about, sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops. It's just not. And not to mention the fact that it condones slavery. And the fact that when you look at it, as a black person, what has the book ever done for us? There's so many churches that are in the hood that are there, surrounded by empowered people, and it's nothing that's being done. So if you have so many people in the church praying constantly every Sunday, a lot of these people are supposed to be, God's children and saved and holy and what have you, how come nothing is being done about their situation? And, they will have you believe that because you are a Christian, you're supposed to just be thankful for what you got and live in poverty and not try to become wealthy and not try to succeed. That sounds like a doctrine of somebody who wants you to stay where you are, who don't want you to rival them or challenge them in wealth. And this is what we're doing. We are not rivaling or challenging. We don't support each other. We don't help each other because, some people look at the faith and some people think that because they're a good person, good things are going to happen for them. So they don't really get up and do anything. They don't want to become entrepreneurs. They think it's going to happen in God's time. God is going to provide for them. And this is where we are. So, to answer that question, and that's a lot you can just really go into with that question. What has the book done for us? Really, God is not waking me up. God is not responsible for, me having what I have or you having what you have. You are. And it's just that simple. If God gave us the book, he would have preserved the book. God in the Bible destroys so much, does so many different things, destroy whole civilizations of people because they go against his commandments and laws. So you would think a guy who is that adamant about people following his wishes would make sure that we get his book, or will make sure that, we're following it, and it's not being done. So, these questions are basically indicative of what I come to expect from Christians and that Christian thinking and that mindset. And I've heard a lot more crazier ones than this. So final question. It says, I've been through all the religions and I find them to be confusing. If the Bible is wrong and these other religious books are wrong, what are we supposed to worship? Another question I get a lot. Same questions all the time I get from Christians. They ask the same type of questions. And the thing is, when you really think about it, why would you want to worship anything? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to lower yourself to a position of worship from worshiping something that's done nothing for you, at all, that you can actually point to improve? Now, it would be different if we can just, we can prove that this God exists and he's been doing these things and he's out there. Like, when you read in the Old Testament, God was coming down. God was sending angels. They was destroying shit. They was doing a lot. So the proof was there, which makes it more far-fetched to believe that these people could be actually looking upon, Moses parting the sea, Moses healing people that was bitten by the serpent, all the miracles that the Hebrews, the Israelites was going through, it's hard to believe that they can see all this and still go against, the God. So I know, for a lot of Christians, if they seen Jesus, if some miracles, really real miracles, I ain't talking about stuff that, science could have done, or, something we can prove that's outside of the Bible, about the stuff that's been happening like in the Old Testament. Like if people today seeing stuff like that happen, there's no way they wouldn't follow the book. So the whole thing is, how can it be that, you praying, nothing happens? People have been praying, on their knees for their lives and been killed. A lot of people was praying that those towers wouldn't fall down with them in it. A lot of people was praying they wouldn't drown on the damn Titanic, freeze to death. People been praying all the time and nothing is happening. So that should tell you something. The whole question is, why is it that, people continue to follow something that they know is not working for them? What has been working for you, your mom. She raised you, she made you who you are. You yourself, you got to where you are because of the hard work that you put in. These are the people you should worship. If you want to worship anything, worship your mom, your parents, yourself. Put that energy in you, because it's going to come back out. You'll get it back in a form of work, in a form of things that's going to actually manifest in your life and actually help you out. Why worship something that is not proven, that has not been proven to do anything for you? And, so to really be easy with the question, nothing but yourself. Nothing but what you see has been working for you. And, like I said, why would you want to worship anything that's not helping you out? Why you want to put that time and energy in something that's not proven? And basically you're putting it in a book. You're putting it in a book that, it's some bullshit. That people said work, that people said do this. And it's tough because a lot of times people get down and stuff happen, and it's hard for people to look other places to get help. So people who are not conscious, who don't understand, the first thing they're going to do is drop to their knees and, worship, ask for help. Not understanding that no matter how much you do that, at the end of the day, you're going to have to change the problem, or somebody's going to have to change it for you. It's crazy. So it's like you go into a restaurant and, your friend's paying for your food, but then you get your food and you pray and you thank God. You pray over your food, bless the food or what have you, but your friend's paying for the food, because you ain't got no money. And if you didn't, if he didn't pay, you wouldn't eat. But you thank him, but you give praise and glory to something else, So worship is just meditation when you really understand what it's talking about. You meditating and you going within yourself to program yourself to give you what you want and to give you what you're praying for. So when you understand that concept of metaphor, it's real easy to put it together, figure out exactly what you need to do and who you really need to be seeking. And it's exactly what the Bible tells you, exactly what Jesus tells you. You need to be seeking, knowledge within yourself and looking within. So now I can understand how it's hard for you guys to come to this channel and other channels and hear the information that people put out against your religion. As I talk about with norepinephrine, the same type of energy, that is produced when a person is fighting for their life is produced when a person is arguing about their religion. So arguments turn into murders because that same type of chemical, is created to basically put you in that fight or flight situation. It's the same type of thing that is produced when you're arguing about religion. So a lot of people get really defensive and they feel some type of way, and it's a normal thing to do. At the end of the day, you got to look in the mirror, you got to be real with yourself, because that's basically what it comes down to. When it's just you alone, when you look in that mirror and say, is this shit real? Is this something I really need to be following? What is it really doing for me? What am I sacrificing because of this religion that's harming me? And I've seen this so many times. I've seen people sacrifice a lot because they thought they was going against the religion, and they was just scared. They didn't have the knowledge to understand that it's not going to be a problem. So what you should do for yourself is research. Go through my videos, definitely watch them. Go through other videos, watch them. Research, get books, understand what you getting yourself into, and what you need to know to make you feel comfortable to move on without that book. Now, when I say without that book, I mean without the attachment to it. I couldn't function without my Bible. I need that book. That book has everything you need to know is in there. If you know how to decode it and get the esoteric meaning out of it, you'll see that it's the perfect book to help you, move forward with your research and your study and everything. I'm not always available for questions, and I've been trying to, these last couple of videos, try to answer a lot of the questions that's been piling up for a long time, especially as it pertains to this subject because, like I said, I was there, and I know how tough it is to make that jump out of Christianity into consciousness and to be comfortable with it. And what it takes is knowledge. It just takes you understanding the truth and being able to see it and have it backed up and make sense for you. Once that happens, everything will just open up for you. You'll start to see a lot more clear. Things will be a lot more easy for you to understand and get, and it'll make a lot more sense, once you start to get to that point. But I thank you guys for, watching. Thanks to all the new people who's been subscribing, a lot of Christians who's been coming, and I've been looking at, people conversing in the comment section. I know y'all can't keep it clean, but damn, some good conversations in there. Just keep studying, keep doing the research. It's the best information I can give you, and I'll try to continue to answer questions as I go on. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Thanks to everybody who purchased and support and became a member of the upcoming site. We're gonna get more into that as I go on. And see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.